I recently attended an information session about studying in the US, and in this video, I'm going to share some insights I learned during the session. The session was organized by a US education advisor here in Mauritius, and it focused on applying for postgraduate studies for like master's and PhD programs. And one thing that stood out during this session was that he did mention that funding is still available. So if you still have that American dream, if you still want to see yourself doing postgraduate studies in America, that dream is still very much possible. He said nothing has changed much. Funding is still available. You can still apply and get admission into a US university and get funding, get an assistantship, get a fellowship, or get a scholarship. So you should not be discouraged by what is currently happening in the US. Just know that funding is still available. Okay, so let's get into the insights that I learned during the session. Let's get started. Firstly, let's talk about the different funding that is available that you can apply for. He did mention that there are fellowships. You can apply for fellowships, like, for example, the Fulbright Fellowship. But he said the fellowship is good if you are applying for a master's program, but if you are applying for a PhD program, he didn't encourage or advise that you apply for fellowship, like maybe the Fulbright Fellowship, because the fellowships are usually 2 years. Like the Fulbright Fellowship is 2 years, and PhD programs are 3 to 4 years plus. So in your case, if you apply for a fellowship for a PhD program, you only have 2 years in the duration of your PhD. You only be covered for 2 years, not more than that. And when you go to the US under the Fulbright Fellowship, you go as a fellowship scholar. So when you go to that university, when you are admitted into that university, you are admitted as a fellowship scholar. And then after 2 years, the fellowship expires, and also your admission. So that means if you are doing PhD, that is 4 years. After 2 years, you have to apply for readmission for the remaining 2 years, and also you have to find funding for the other 2 years. I hope you understand. Fellowships are good for masters because masters programs typically 1 year or 2 years. So if you get a fellowship and your master's is 2 years and the fellowship is 2 years, you are sorted. You know that it will cover the duration of your master's degree. But if your PhD is 4 years and you get a fellowship that is only 2 years, after 2 years you will have some problems. You will encounter, sorry for the word salad, you will encounter some problems. And he did mention that it is not automatic that after the 2 years, when you apply for readmission, that you'll be admitted by the university. You can get rejected because competition is high and you might not find funding for the remaining 2 years. So that is not what he suggested. Okay, what he suggested next was, if you are applying for PhD programs, then consider applying for assistantships, graduate assistantship, research assistant, teaching assistant, administrative assistant. Those are more suitable for you as a PhD student, because you will get, like, let's say you get graduate assistantship or teaching assistantship, you get to work at the university, and then your tuition fees are subsidized. You get discounts on campus. Sometimes you get medical cover, so you can get that for the duration of your study. So that is what he encouraged for PhD students. When what you can do is apply for admission into a university and then apply for these assistantships instead of applying for a fellowship that will expire after 2 years. Okay, and then there are different types of master's degrees that you can apply for, and it's important to know what kind of master's degree you would like to pursue in the US. So let's have a look at the different types of master's degrees that are available so that you can make an informed choice. Okay, let's look at the types of master's degrees that are available that you can choose from. The first one is academic. He did mention that you can get a Master of Arts, MA, or Master of Science, MS. And then there are professional master's degree like Master of Business Administration, MBA, or Master of Fine Arts, MFA, Master of Education, MEd. The duration varies and it depends on the program. Some programs are 1 year, some others are 2 years. And then programs may offer a thesis or a non-thesis option, meaning that you may have to write a thesis in some of the programs, and other programs you may not need to write a thesis. It's mandatory that you attend coursework. You have to attend coursework, and also you will have to design a mini project as part of your master's degree program. So this is basically the information that I got about different types of master's degrees. Okay. There are also different types of doctoral programs that are available. So it will depend on the path that you want to take. Do you want to go into academia or do you want to go into the industry? So it will depend on you. You have to assess, you have to look into your interests and your aspirations. Let's have a look at the different types of doctoral programs that you can go for. Here are the types of doctoral degrees you can apply for. There's an academic, which is Doctor of Philosophy, PhD. This one is for you if you want to go into academia, you want to work in a university, you want to teach, you want to be a professor, that kind of stuff, then you do a PhD. And then there's a professional doctorate, Doctor of Education, DB, Doctor of Business Administration, DBA. This is for you if you want to get into the industry, if you want to do research for the industry. So that is the difference between academic and professional. And they usually take about 3 or 5 years or more. And here's the process of PhD in the US. Like once you get an admission into a PhD program, then you go through this process. The first thing is that you have to attend coursework. It's mandatory that you attend classes for a minimum of 2 years. And then after that, you have to select a committee, a doctoral committee, 3 to 6 professors, including one chairperson. This is the information as shared by the education advisor from the session that I attended. Remember that, okay? And then after that, the next step 3, you have exam, you do an exam, face hearing. These are presentations. Sorry, there is noise. There is someone doing construction outside. I hope it's not too much of a distraction. You have some presentations to do as part of your exam. Sometimes you may write a comprehensive exam. The exam is set by the doctoral committee that you selected. Okay. Then step 4 is for you to write a research proposal, and that research proposal will be reviewed and approved by the doctoral committee. If it is approved, then you move on to step 5, which is submitting the research proposal to the Institutional Review Board, IRB, of the university. And this is where you have to get approval to proceed with doing your research. And he said this stage takes a while. It can take about 6 to 12 months. And during this period, you are not allowed to conduct any research because you have to wait for approval. So what he said is that some students often engage in independent studies. Others who are self-sponsored, they go back to their home country and wait for the approval while they are back home, and they come back after they get the approval. So for the approval, which is step 6, you will have to wait for IRB to approve your research proposal, and it's approved, then you can proceed with doing your research. If it's not approved, like for example, if it's not approved by the board, you may have some revisions. You may have to go back and rework on your proposal. It will depend on the decision that you get. Now that you know the types of funding that are available and also the types of master's degree programs and PhD and doctoral programs that are available, let's talk about the general entry requirements, because it's important that you meet the requirements. What the education advisor said was that the competition is very stiff. The programs are very competitive. The program's admission into a program, applying for the assistantships or the fellowships, there is high competition and it's survival of the fittest. So you have to make sure that you present yourself as the best candidate, because there is high competition for this program. So let's look at the general requirements so that you can prepare and position yourself for that program that you are aiming for, or that program that you are interested in applying for. Let's look at the general admission requirements. So deadline to submit applications is mid-December to mid-January for most universities, and intake is August or September. Firstly, of course, you have to submit an online application to your chosen university, and then some programs or some universities may require you to take a GRE, 12 or IELTS test. You can check with the university. He said, don't take the GRE test if it's not necessary. Just double check with the university if it is a requirement for you to take the test. Okay, of course you will need your university transcripts and your certificates. These general requirements are for both masters and PhD. You need to write a personal statement. It is mandatory for you to write a personal statement. In the personal statement, you will talk about what you have been doing, the work that you have been doing, and what you propose to do. What would you like to do in the future? So that is what you include in your personal statement. You will need recommendation letters and also work experience if applicable. It may there are some instances or some programs where work experience may be required. So these are the general admission requirements for getting into a postgraduate program in the US. To make it easy for you, he shared some tools that you can use, or some websites, some links that you can use to search for universities, for programs, and also for resources. Let me show you the websites. I don't know if you're able to take a screenshot and be able to access the website. If not, you can just Google the name of the tool and then go check it out. I hope it will be helpful in finding the university, the program, or the resource that you are looking for to assist you with your application. Here are the US university search tools and resources that you can use. So there is the Global Network of Education USA Centers, unofficial rankings for graduate programs in the United States, tools and resources for graduate study, including GR Test, Check, Big Future, and College Navigate search tools, National Association of Credential Evaluation Services. There's also a tool to compare cost of living, and that is the website. And then there's also the educational testing service. So you can take a screenshot of the website or write the website somewhere and visit the website to search for universities and resources that will help you with your application. All right. And here are some tips for a successful university search, because you don't want to be searching aimlessly. You don't want to spend a lot of time or waste of time searching aimlessly. So these are the tips that the education advisor shared that you can apply in your search. Let's have a look at those tips. Like, when you are looking for a university, do not focus too much on the rankings of the university. Find a suitable program that you can apply for. Do not focus on Ivy Leagues alone. Don't focus on Ivy League universities only, because right now there's been some issues with the current administration and Ivy League universities. So don't focus on that. Find other suitable universities or institutions that you can apply to, okay? And reflect on the criteria that would meet your academic, financial, and social needs. Go through the institution's profile, the professor's research interest, that is for PhD, potential doctoral students. Understand what the university do in terms of research, what the professors do, so that you can identify those that are within your research interest. And then contact professors whose research interests align with yours. Okay, you have to identify professors that have research interests that align with yours. You don't want to pick people that are not in alignment with what you are interested in researching on. And check, are there research opportunities in your field of study? Check that on the website. Are there research centers on campus, like a STEM research center? What types of grants do department school receive and what amount? He did mention that you should go where the money is. Go where funding is. Don't choose an institution that is not receiving grants, because that means funding will be limited. So you want to choose an institution that is receiving grants, that have funding available for research students, of potential research students. So basically, those are the important tips that he shared. Lastly is the visa, which might be scary to some people, but he said that there are no issues with getting a student visa, the J1 visa, as long as you meet the requirements. Yes, there are some issues with some visas being temporarily withheld, mainly because students from certain countries overstay in the US. When they go to the US under the student visa, after their studies, they don't go back to their countries, and then they overstay. So before you apply for a program, before you start the whole application process, just check if your country is not under those countries that are under visa restrictions. And it's not all the countries that are affected. Not all the countries are under a visa ban, but it's important to just check what is happening between the US and your country in relation to the visas. So he did mention that the student visa is not really a problem to get when you have all the documentation in place. You just have to check what is happening in terms of your country and the US. And also, one important thing he mentioned was about social media. Be sure that your social media is public. Do not lock your profile, because should you apply for visa, they will look at your social media history. And he also advised against posting anything that is against the US. Try not to share negative opinions about the US on your social media, because that will be picked when they check your social media. So keep your social media clean, keep your social media public if you don't want to have issues with getting a visa in the future. So that is that on the session that I attended. I hope that the information will help you make an informed decision if you still want to pursue your American dream, if you still want to do a master's degree, a PhD in the United States. I hope the little information that I shared, it's what I got from the session, is the information that I received during the session, and I thought I should make a video and share it with you so that it can help you in making a decision about whether you want to study in the US or not, and also to help you understand the application process. All the best with your application. If you need assistance with applying for a master's, for a PhD program, fellowship, assistantship, please book one-on-one mentorship. I'll be happy to support you with your application. You can book through the link in the video description, and we will work together in your scholarship. Okay? All the best. Bye.